So
Well, I heard Destil, but I didn't really.
Victor and
Maybe
Edmont.
I'm. Oh,
Later this evening, there's going to be a big, exciting to-do at the munitions factory.
yeah, but we
Uh,
don't have anything to.
but
We don't know that's
several
happening yet.
hours before all that goes down, if you'll bear with me one moment, I do need to load in a new map. Let immigrant.com yell at me about my ad blocker real quick. For all I know, immigrant.com is one of the websites where the ads are like not intrusive and actually reasonable, but I don't feel like I should give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, your trust has been broken too many times.
Exactly.
True.
All right.
Huh.
So here is the campus.
I'm assuming the greenery is more brownery.
Well, I'm surprised anything is green in this city.
There's the credit for Valor maps here. I only am using one of the maps, but this is actually an extremely intricate university map that has like 12 layers to it.
Oh wow!
Really, really intricate and detailed.
There's scale to this, because holy crap, this could actually be very large.
Yeah, there's a 5-foot block in the corner here, but it is fairly large.
No kidding.
So, getting just onto the campus is no big deal. There are many entrances into and out of the university. It's a wide open space surrounded by large campus building structures, and then the intermediary structures between them. So some of these like connecting buildings are actually buildings that you could go into. Others are just walkways up above built into like an arch over a gate or a road underneath. And there is a surprising amount of greenery on the university grounds that you can see. You're not sure what mechanism drives it, but you could swear that the air inside the university, once you're on the grounds, is a little cleaner than the surrounding city.
Magic. Magic.
Probably not, because the university is a place of science, and just putting some feelers out and overhearing some people, the people of Ludendorff in particular, and the university specifically, are very mistrustful of magic. The name that you hear thrown around a lot is Victor Mordenheim. Victor Mordenheim is the University of Ludendorff's premier luminaire. She is a visionary and a genius and a master of the physical sciences. You guys make your way into probably this largest center structure here is one of the commons. Into a lounge area where conversation and some light music is taking place. And as you approach, do you both have comprehend languages up?
Yeah,
Yes.
Understand Lamordian?
would have to take a short. It would have to take a short rest to get house slots to get a house slot back, but I could do it in between. Would that be possible in between? What one action in the next?
To take a short rest, like from the afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll say you had because you guys said you took some time at least to reconvene and share information. That would have taken about an hour. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then yeah.
So the commons area is a large open space with lots of couches and a focus more on like small end tables rather than like large bar areas or something. Lots of bookshelves, lots of places for people to sit and converse or to just relax and peruse their studies. And you see a variety of people doing both of these things. Most of the attention in the place right now, in the center, there is kind of a center dais for people to stand upon and practice their oratory skills. And a man is doing that right now, giving an impromptu, very casual lecture about a particular political divide happening right now in Ludendorff. The man's name... Oh, that's not correct. It's not Annie again. Annie's a different character entirely. The man's name is Emanuel Schulberg. And this is the gist of... He's basically giving a lecture, an impromptu lecture to the people. He's not really fielding questions or spiriting discussion, but a lot of people are listening to him. So you can each mark off a gold piece or so, and you can be served drinks. Emmanuel's lecture is as follows. There is a major industry in Ludendorff from which the university in particular draws a lot of function from, called flesh rights. The idea is you sell your flesh rights to somebody, and then they own your cadaver after you die. This is extremely important for a lot of functions in the university. But the university is not the only party that purchases flesh rights in the city. Other agents have need of doing this from time to time, although Emmanuel doesn't have a lot of information or opinion about what they might be doing with these cadavers once they have them. Emmanuel is a student in the speculative anatomy department at the university. They need flesh rights in order to perform experiments. A lot of these are overseen by Dr. Mordenheim, who is his personal hero. There is a push from inside the university to influence the politics of Ludendorff to expand the nature of flesh rights. And as he sees the two of you step in, because you guys had gone out of your way to kind of dress yourselves in like some low-key, off-the-shelf, like dock worker kind of clothes. You don't want to project that you're noblemen.
Yeah.
I heard that correctly, both of you?
Yep.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to fit in.
And he says, and I shall make my point thusly. Sir, if you would step this way, please. And he waves for Edmont to come over to him.
Victor gives him a little nudge.
It's a little bit of a deer in the headlights look, but approaches.
And he's addressing the assembled students in the audience here. Take, for example, this down on his luck gentleman. You look like you've been through it, if I may be so bold, my friend. May I be presumptive enough to say that you have a household to take care of, a lady wife, perhaps, or a young child at home?
Just a daughter.
A daughter? Well, and meaning no offense, of course, but to look at you, you're not a man of any reasonable skill or intelligence. A hard laborer, perhaps, strong of back and spirits. And if I were to tell you that your wife and your daughter could be cared for to the tune of, say, 10 gold pieces per month, in perpetuity by care of the university, you would, of course, sign your flesh rights over to us. What's Edmont's passive insight?
16?
16?
Yeah.
He's clearly expecting you to say yes to this question. This is the kind of deal that's done 100 times a day. And it kind of dawns on you that every average laborer in the streets of Ludendorff must have a flesh rights contract with somebody.
That's fucked up.
It's life insurance.
It's not, even a little bit,
No.
but kind of. What are you telling me?
No, I do well on my own.
No, your bodily corpse, sir, the fleshy vessel in which you have no use or function after your death, is more important to you than the well-being of your child?
Think what you will.
And there's murmuring in the crowd. They definitely do not approve of this answer.
Victor will step forward and go, he might not, but he's an idealist. Me, on the other hand, of course.
So Victor steps forth. Jeannie would like to what?
Jeannie, I'm sorry. I was going to say, this reminds me of those skeleton people we left behind.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like this and Edmont wasn't too big of a fan of the practice to begin with, but
Didn't we have to sign? We had to specifically put it into our contract with Aslan that he couldn't make use of our corpses.
That sounds like something that might have been in there. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
But it was common practice back where we came from.
I don't
So
know that
Victor
we can
steps
actually
forward.
enforce it.
Says that Edmont is an idealist, but that he would be willing to sign flesh rights away for, say, a 10 gold piece per month stipend to his family to be seen to.
Yeah, why not? But we're gonna lie.
But 10 gold pieces per month, that is quite a rich salary. And some flesh rights would, of course, command that sort of market, but... And again, meaning no offense to you, my friend, but as a physical specimen, and there's some more murmuring and slight laughter amongst the crowd, Victor's strength and constitution scores are not particularly high, are they?
He's got a 9 strength and a 12 con.
Okay, so a little bit
more
above...
Edmont.
He didn't have an asthma attack stepping up onto the... And perhaps, in our department, we don't have use for your entire corpse. Perhaps we... And this is when he gets to the pitch. This is what his people are trying to push politically. His pitch is, how about, instead of signing over your flesh rights upon death, which his department wouldn't be able to capitalize on for hopefully years and years and years if you live a long and healthy life, and which you personally can't make any enjoyment out of because you'll be dead, how about instead, of 10 gold pieces per month, a one-time upfront fee of 10 gold pieces in exchange for 2 fingers? Or an ear.
So, question.
Are you asking him a question?
No, I'm asking you as the DM a question.
Okay.
Does sleight of hand cover acts of prestidigitation?
Are you
Like,
trying to
can I
cast the prestidigitation cantrip?
No, but like if I wanted to pull a coin out of this guy's ear or something, can I use sleight of hand for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what sleight of hand is for.
So, Victor will kind of step towards the guy and say, "That's quite intriguing," but and he'll see if he'll kind of motion to see if he can come up next to him.
Oh, you're already, yeah, you said you've approached, because Edmont was standing
Okay, yeah.
next to him.
Unfortunately, if I sold my fingers, how could I do this? And he'll try to pull a coin out of his ear.
Yeah, make a sleight of hand check. Dexterity, sleight of hand. Now, what's your goal here? Are you, like, trying to upstage this guy and change the conversation away from his lecture?
To kind of make the point that, you know, people have uses for their digits.
Okay.
Also,
And also to upstage.
we don't speak the language here.
Well, that's okay, because I rolled a natural 1 and I don't think an 8's going to help.
So, you palm a coin, a piece of silver or whatever, into your hand and tuck it up under your sleeve and reach out to the man's ear to try to use sleight of hand to make it look like you've pulled the coin from behind his ear. Instead, the coin spills forth and clatters to the ground. And there's some laughter from the crowd. And Emmanuel says, well, maybe 12 pieces of gold for 2 of your fingers is commanding too much of a price. 6 or 7 pieces, perhaps. But the point is made. You have more use for gold, here and now, than you do for, say, even a fingernail, or a scraping of skin from inside of your leg tissue.
Well, you may be right about that, but if all of us workers started selling our body parts, what would happen to productivity in the factories?
And at that, their voices to chime up in the crowd, pointing out, I've worked in one of those factories. I pulled a lever 800 times a day. I only need one arm for that.
But you have to have a good grip on
Are
it.
they speaking?
They're speaking Lamordian, but you guys have comprehend languages up.
Yeah, but we can't speak back to them.
Well, I guess we can speak in something else.
Oh, okay. No, why do I keep forgetting that? Yeah, comprehend languages doesn't allow you to speak the language. In that case, then he's just translating for you. Emmanuel's an educated man.
Yeah.
And being Darkanese, you're even more down on your luck than usual. You just don't know how good you could have it in Ludendorff if you're willing to. Anyway, the point is, right now, it's not legal flesh rights don't cover individual body parts from living people. But man, this guy sure would like it to. And he's convincing the crowd here to that effect.
So Victor is going to turn his attention a little bit to kind of help enforce this guy's argument that maybe it's not such a bad idea. Because on the hope that he'll be able to talk to him later as more friendlier terms.
So, to be clear, Victor and Edmont find this practice abhorrent.
Yes, we find. So Victor finds the practice abhorrent. However, what he sees is a mark that he can use to get information from.
And Edmont is the same? The idea of selling
I feel
your
the
body?
same way about it, yeah. Yeah.
As you well should. I would be distressed if you didn't. So Victor, make me a deception check. Make this add advantage, because remember, this guy has to translate what you're saying from Darkanese, which means he can twist your words however he likes, but for your purpose, that might feed into it.
Dude, I cannot friggin' roll. That'd be the best I can do is a 9.
A 9?
If it's charisma, yeah.
Yeah, charisma deception. So where the lecture kind of lands is that in the end, Emmanuel has stated that he even he has managed to convince these laborers from faraway Darkon, these simple-minded field tillers, of the obvious benefits of the department's proposal. To which everybody agrees, and there's a lot of murmuring in the crowd. And as Emmanuel's lecture comes to a close, he steps down off of the dais, and he introduces himself formally to the two of you. He says he usually doesn't make it a practice, speaking to you in Darkanese now, he usually doesn't make it a practice to incorporate marks into his lectures, but he had a really good feeling about the two of you when you came in.
Victor will respond that, oh yes, no, we saw you might need a little bit of help, so we thought, what better way to try and make you a new friend than to offer some aid. You see, you're right, we're poor dark workers. We came here from Darkon looking, for a better life, but we heard there was a university, and well, we've always thought about, what if we could be more than just dock workers, but we're just not sure how to get involved.
Well, of course, that's why you've come here in the first place. So you've just arrived. You haven't yet sold your flesh rights.
No, not yet, no. Well, it is an intriguing idea.
He asks if you would join him and come down to his quarters. That he would be happy to have the paperwork drawn up right now.
Oh, we're not looking to do that right this second. We're more interested in how does one join the university? We'd like to become students. I mean, especially after seeing you up there.
The sooner the better, my friend, he says cautiously. It's a dangerous city out there. You wouldn't want to have some misfortune befall you in the streets with nothing to be gained after the facts.
Dangerous. Victor will look at Edmont. We've been pretty safe so far, but we haven't started work yet.
As for joining the university, he politely but firmly insinuates that you couldn't afford it. You're not well born enough. You don't have a patron. You don't have any money.
We can't make enough from the city to join.
Make an insight check. Both of you can make this.
It's a big fat 12 because
Nice.
my rolls are awesome.
How'd Edmont do?
14.
Okay. Edmont.
Sir.
The man doesn't come right out and say that the university doesn't accept riffraff like you. He's not that blunt or rude about it. But his implication is that you two are lowborn, and poor, which not only means you can't afford the studies here, but also that you would not have any value to offer to the university. People like you not only can't afford to learn here, you're not capable of it. Not trying to be insulting, but everybody is born to their particular circumstances. You can't help the class that you come into the world in. But there are ways you can make yourself useful, and then he steers the conversation back to the two of you selling him your flesh rights.
So
Edmont is under no circumstances going to allow himself or Victor to do so.
So Victor's not going to do it, but Victor is interested to go look at the paperwork to see exactly what the documents say.
So to do that, you're going to have to make him think that you're ready to sign. If you tell him right now that you're not going to sign anything, he's not going to share that kind of information with you. But
Well,
if
so
if you make him believe it, he'll show you.
He'll start by making the offer that he's happy to accompany him to his quarters to take a look at the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. He's first of all, he's impressed that you can read. Most of the people who sign these papers can't.
That just makes Edmont even more, aghast.
Are you going along with this scheme, Edmont? You're going to have to make this guy believe that you're both going to sign in order for him to share the inner details of how the system works. Otherwise, he's got more important things to do with his time.
So Victor is willing to go down there, pick up the pen, look at the documents, put the pen to paper, and then that's the point where he will stop short.
Okay, so Edmund, are you willing to go along with Victor's scheme to that point? Or are you being very upfront, like, nope, not doing it, we're walking out right now? Does Edmont have a vested interest in whether or not Victor signs away his cadaver?
I mean, this is the kind of shit that we were, expressly told not to get involved with.
It is. As I recall, Rudolph Van Richten told you guys to not go to the university.
Yeah, and Edmont will say, I think it's getting to be about that time where we need to catch up with the rest of the family, Victor.
Are you saying that to Victor in Etherine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now? It's barely dark.
I mislike this.
Surely we could stay a little bit longer. I mean, think about the money we could earn.
I mislike this, cousin. I really do.
Emmanuel tells you that if you need another day or two to think over the particulars, you can ask for him if you come back to the lounge. He wants to caution you, though, that up front, it may seem like you can get better rates in the markets, particularly at the lamps factory. However, you should know that those contracts are known to be... They go into defaults quite often. I don't expect you to understand all the intricacies, but the number that's placed on it is not the only consideration to be had.
Victor will look at Emmanuel dead in the eyes and say, "Are you saying they kill the workers?"
Edmont, make an insight check. 15?
Yep.
Victor asks, you mean that kill the workers? And Emmanuel kind of plays the comment off as a joke. No, of course not. No. However, Edmont, something about the way and the speed with which he answers the question, like he didn't even, for a moment, feign amazement that Victor would say that. He didn't even feign offense for a moment. Just immediately a joking denial. This business of flesh rights, people are absolutely being murdered. There's no question in your mind. Further, there's no question that Emmanuel if he doesn't engage in it personally, knows that it's done as a matter of course.
Edmont
And
hooks
doesn't
his
seem
arm
to care.
around, hooks his arm around Victor's and says, "Come on, Victor, we need to go."
Oh, fine. I don't want you getting cranky, but can we at least stay for one more drink?
No.
So Edmont drags Victor out by the ear. And as you guys are leaving the lounge,
And then
go ahead.
once Edmont's not going to actually bring up any of this until we're back at the hostel. But he'll say, once he's there, he'll say that.
Well, Victor's not done here yet.
What else are you going to do at the university? Before?
So that was how much time did that whole situation take?
This
Was that like the entire time?
You're spending your whole evening in the university doing whatever you're going to do.
Okay, because we wanted to kind of listen and talk to more than just this one guy, if there's time.
Now that
At least
you
Victor
know
does.
the Lamordian words for flesh rights, you hear the phrase a lot. And it's very casually thrown around. You definitely get the sense that everybody who's not a person of means in this city has sold their flesh rights to someone.
Are we able to find out who the major buyers of flesh rights are?
I mean, here in the university, that is all bent towards university activities, predominantly experiments.
And are we able to find out who the main runners of these experiments are?
You hear the names of some of the professors and department heads and things, but you're not going to hear any particular details up here at the surface level.
All right. And then I guess Victor will kind of lean on this more and talk to some of the patrons in a little more detail about what their opinions of flesh rights are and whose idea, how did this get started.
The entire time, Edmont is anxious that we need to fucking leave now.
And the more Victor, because the way you guys are dressed and present yourselves when you start asking these kinds of questions to people. And I mean, first of all, you have to find people who speak, who understand Darkanese, which isn't everybody. But it's more people than you might be expecting. And when you bring up the subject, everybody is interested in who the two of you are selling yours to. Those are the details they want to discuss.
And Victor will basically pass it off. He's trying to find the best deal. He's not sure yet. They just got here. They're trying to figure out how this whole thing works.
Everybody seems to agree that you'll get the best deal at the university, but strangely, nobody can agree on which actual department will give you the best deal. But theirs definitely will.
Good info.
But you're not able to get any actual details about the process of selling it or who's buying it or what's being done with the bodies.
Okay. So I guess that's basically how. And then on the way back, Victor, once we get off the university grounds, we'll tell Edmont we're sneaking in there.
No. God, no, we're not.
See,
We are
Treble, I
not.
don't even have to ask this man on a scale of 1 to 10 because he already knows.
I am Edmont. As far as Edmont is concerned, he has noped out of any more university talk for at least a couple of days.
We're gonna wait till after we meet with Van Richten because we don't want to screw that up. But after that, we're definitely going back.
Here's the question Edmont needs to ask himself. If he tells the people at the university that he's a werewolf, does that increase the value of the flesh rights?
That's not a thing I want to think about. That's not a thing I want to think about. No, thank you.
I do want to point out, because this is really squicky subject matter, like this is really intense. This is straight out of the published book. All this nonsense about flesh rights is right in the material. I didn't have to write any of that.
I mean,
Why
it's
that?
not surprising.
No. Brick Road, do you remember that one dungeon you ran in Planescape?
Yeah, we're like, the people were like trapped indoors and...
You turned Guerrilla Liberation's arms inside out?
Sometimes
That
they
is-
publish really, really bizarre stuff. Is anybody taking a late night action, or is everybody returning back to the foot? where you have your dingy little rooms.
I'll be nice to Treble and go back.
I was
Okay.
just gonna come back.
Is Jeannie going back? Jeannie and Evie?
Yeah. Genius.
Jeannie
Going back.
arrives back after everyone else. You get there later. And you arrive covered in soot from your adventure.
Jeannie, would you like to explain?
Victor will at some point make the comment to Jeannie that she could be worth more if she had all of her toes.
What?
You gave away one of your toes?
First of all, I don't think Victor knows that I'm missing a toe.
I think only
Damn
Ekon
you.
knows.
Yeah. I mean, Jeannie's not making like a great big thing to hide it. She's just not telling anybody. It's more of a lie of omission.
Just so you know, Chris, you just tried to Victor again, and don't Victor, please. It's a verb now.
You should Vincent instead.
It's such a great intro to the flesh rights, though.
So, how much
God.
of the story does Jeannie share?
I'll just tell him I got lost. I got to looking around and then kind of lost my way, and then they started
then-
ringing alarm bells.
And then you blew your way out?
Well, what was I supposed to do? They were chasing me with machines that shot fire.
Jeannie, you did what?
Wait,
Didn't we tell you not to blow up the munitions factory?
I didn't blow up the munitions factory. I blew up a window of the munitions factory.
is it possible for us to take you anywhere? Can we not have a good... eventually we're going to get back to Brennan. Is it going to be possible for us to actually take you to the theater? Or are you going to attempt to blow that up too?
I am only the third most destructive member of this party.
Listen,
Thank you.
All this shit you give me about causing trouble, and you blow up a
You're number one.
I don't want to hear it from you, cousin Victor.
Question.
What? We found out good information. Thank
Before
you.
this conversation goes
Pick a
further,
line.
can I safely assume that information was traded between all the characters about, like,
Yes.
the things that
Yeah.
were learned in the munitions factory? The only thing that it's not common knowledge in the party is that Jeannie stole a book, and that's what she was doing in the factory when she was chased.
She's like, if she's pressed on it, she'll say that she picked up a book, but she's not going to
Volunteer that information.
yeah, it's like, well, like she basically says she was looking around for, she's pretty upfront about like why she was looking around, like she was interested in like how they did things, and she wanted to see if she could learn anything.
Ekon.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing all this business about flesh rights, pairing that up with what you learned this morning, you wonder whether it's possible to sell or collect on flesh rights on behalf of someone else. For example, say a drifter who goes down into the basement of the old cathedral and doesn't return.
Right.
This sounds just like that. This sounds just like that posthumous indenture business from back home.
Okay, so now Evie really doesn't want Jeannie to be examined at this university.
At least we know why Van Richten wanted us to stay away.
She thinks that would be a very bad idea at this point.
Why? What changed your opinion on it?
Apparently they're like studying corpses there.
Yes, and how else are you going to learn anything about anatomy to fix Jeannie?
I'm a
Like,
little
it's a
worried
little
that they're going...
extreme.
I don't think they want to fix her. I'm a little worried they're going to want to keep her.
Well, no, if she doesn't sign flesh right, she'll be fine.
I trust Dr. Van Richten hasn't like said anything to the only thing that he's been pretty straightforward with this so far, and he seems to want to help. I am a little disturbed that the two of you decided to he seemed to hint that the place was dangerous and we shouldn't go there until he was ready for us to go there.
Jeannie,
And-
have you met me?
And even I decided not to go to I will point out that Jeannie heard that and decided to not go to the university.
You
Well-
instead decided to snoop around a place that is very dangerous, and
And blow it up.
Well, to be fair, that wasn't my plan when I walked in the door.
So if nobody's
It
taking a
helps
late
to
night
have-
action, everybody can go and take the benefits of the long rests.
Evie's just
Word.
drinking some wine, glad that people aren't arguing with her for once.
Word does not come back from Van Richten on that first night. And you weren't really expecting it to. He did say it would take a
No.
day or two. The next morning, bear with me just 1 second. Let me look some stuff up here. Okay.
Oh, there's that bear again.
Trouble.
There's a spot on this map marked the clock tower. The clock tower in Ludendorff famously does not tick. It stopped at a very particular time. Local legend is that Dr. Mordenheim was doing an experiment one night that was one of the massive breakthroughs of her career that caused an electrical discharge that fell upon the entire city and completely fried the mechanisms of the clock. So the time that it stopped at is considered to be the most important single moment in Dr. Mordenheim's career. And to that end, there has been no will to repair the clock.
1.21 gigawatts.
Electricity.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, was it stopped at 10:04 p.m.?
I didn't know
Great
the actual
God.
time, but I'm glad one of you did.
Solitayre.
Out in
You-
front of the clock tower, there is a device called the Mordenheim chair. The Mordenheim chair is a public display. It's essentially a small metal room, maybe a little bit bigger than a phone booth. And inside is a chair with restraints. And it's used in Ludendorff as an execution device.
Ugh.
Electric chair. Okay.
And what's great, the buzz this morning, because there aren't a lot of public executions in Ludendorff, but there's going to be 3 this morning because they caught the 3 men who were stealing from the munitions factory last night. They've got them
no.
dead to rights, and they're going to put them one at a time into the Mordenheim chair. There's going to be a big crowd watching.
Jeannie, what did you do? This isn't you, right? This is totally separate?
I don't know.
I wonder
So,
what they stole.
morning actions. You have the option of going down and watching the execution if you so desire.
So, Victor wants to go down to the execution with the primary purpose of trying to find out who owns their flesh rights.
Okay, hold on a second.
Mont is done with the idea of
You won't be able to find that out this morning at the execution, but if you attend the execution, you will learn their identities, and then you'll be able to take an afternoon and or an evening action to potentially secure the information of who has their flesh rights.
All right.
So-
That works.
Is anybody else joining Victor at the public execution?
No.
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 All right, what are you guys spending the morning doing?
Have we gotten any word from Van Richten yet?
Not yet.
No.
He said a day or two, and it's been about 1 day.
Okay.
I guess I'll. If he said a day or two, I'll give him another day. So
Do you want to look into the cathedral? Are you worried about that? The drifters?
Oh, I mean, a little, but I don't know what good I can do there.
I mean, if she's a serial killer,
I mean, you come with some muscle, you could say, what's going on down there?
Can I? We don't actually have any idea who has any sort of power in this city. That's what I'm gonna do. I am going to, unless Jeannie is
You will have,
very...
Destil, you will have been told about the Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ekon will present himself as a visiting noble from Darkon, who's just looking to, like, hobnob with the other nobles.
Present himself where?
Is there a place that strikes me? I don't know. Is there a place that I've picked up on that I would want to, like, go?
The Syndicate House, maybe. I don't know.
The Syndicate House is that'd be a place to meet businessmen and things, maybe some guild artisans and whatnot. Looking to meet the upper crust of nobility. Well, I guess the main question is somebody associated with the university or not, would be the biggest question.
No,
No, okay.
specifically not.
like, is there any way? So, like, the Baron hasn't been seen in years. Is there
Correct.
anybody that represents him? I think that's the thing that Is that what you're kind of going for? Someone to like on the Baron side, like the law side, not the business or educational side?
Yeah.
The person to speak to would be the Baron's butler, Greta.
Greta?
The Baron has a. I mean, the von Operaker estate is not here in the city, but he does maintain a small manor inside of the city limits. You could present yourself there.
Okay.
Okay, and
I'm
you're
going to go with you.
taking Edmont, and is Jeannie going with him?
Jeannie doesn't have anything better to do.
I
Okay.
kind of want to check out the lamps factory because that got thrown around at the university.
The what factory? Lamps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to check it out for?
Where they kill the workers.
It sounds like there's something shady going on there.
So Victor, they were basically told if you go to, because they wanted Emmanuel to believe they were shopping around to sell their flesh rights, and he was told, you're gonna hear you'll get a better deal down at the lamp factory, but I want you to know that it's not actually a better deal. They're buying up flesh rights for some reason.
So, like, when you say lamp factory and flesh rights,
Mm-hmm.
so when I saw lamp factory, my brain was like, oh, they make lamps. But now that they're buying fleshlights, I'm thinking, oh, they figured out how, like, they figured whale oil was too expensive.
Flesh rights, not flesh lights.
That's a different factory.
That's something very different.
No, flesh
I'm
rights.
dead. I'm dead, Treble. You killed me.
No.
You said it. We all heard it.
I didn't hear it. Let's move on.
They're using the workers to make lamp oil. That's horrifying.
Are the workers the lamp oil?
You don't
That
know.
Could very well be. the
That's
case.
just a speculation that you guys have.
This place is horrible. I wouldn't put it past them for a second.
Oh.
So, Jeannie, are you going to go up to Schloss Aubrecker?
Yeah, I'll go with Evie. I don't think we should. I don't think really any of us should go anywhere alone.
I thought Evie said she was going to the lamp factory.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm going with
Okay,
Evie.
you're going with Evie. So, Ekon and Edmont are going to the estate. Evie and Jeannie are going to the lamps factory. With the intention of finding out, like, why are they buying flesh rights? Is that it?
Ideally.
Okay.
What possible use could they have for flesh rights?
Victor,
Yeah.
forgive me, but I don't want to spend a lot of time detailing this scene. We've all seen the Green Mile. It's not pretty. But yeah, one by one, the three men, and you do get their names. You get some leads on how to investigate, how to buy, who owns their flesh rights. You could spend your afternoon action nailing that down if you wanted. All three of these men have pled guilty. They were found stealing and defacing from the ammunitions factory. They're the guys in... Well, you know that they're not the guys who did it, but they're the guys who they're pinning it on.
Okay. Did they any mention of what they actually stole, or any rumors around the crowd of what they took?
Oh, lots of rumors about what they might have taken. Lots and lots of... Everybody's got an opinion. But nobody knows for sure, and they don't announce it. In fact, the official, like the showmanship of it, they don't give a lot of details at all. They state the guys' names, what they've done. A door opens in the front. You see the chair sitting in this tiny little metal room, big enough for just about the chair, and that's it. And you see cruel-looking devices on this chair to lash a man to it and restrain him, and wires coming in and out. The door is closed. A man off to the side throws a switch. Lightning arcs from the top of the device. Screams are heard from inside. And then a door on the back that you can't see from the crowd opens up. A few minutes pass. And in another few minutes, when the front door is opened again and the chair is back in place, the inside looks very clean.
Is there any way to find out who the executioner is?
No, it's a man wearing a bag on his head, not identified,
Okay.
anonymous. But yeah, you watch as the execution is carried out. 1, and then 2, and then 3, and Victor.
Yeah. Or check.
A horror check.
Hey, 15.
Okay. So Would it be fair to use the word shenanigans to define some of the stuff that your family gets up to?
Oh, Victor is absolutely going to take these names back to Jeannie.
Well, here's the thing. Like, this morning, like, you understood that these 3 men are being put to death for a crime that your cousin committed. Like, you knew that. Everybody knew that. But actually watching the execution turned your stomach more than you were expecting. You pass the horror check, but you know that there's a part of you that's not going to be able to look at Jeannie the same way. She committed a crime, she let other men be executed for it, and it didn't seem to matter to her.
And she didn't even have the decency to come watch them die.
Well, that'd be a little weird, honestly.
She needs to take responsibility.
Nonetheless, you do get the 3 men's names and like their occupations were listed. So if you want to spend your afternoon action doing some kind of off-screen investigation, you'll be able to learn who owns their flesh rights.
Yeah, so he's going to do an
Provided you pass the
investigation to find out. Yeah, so he's going to try and find out who owns their flesh rights. He's also going to try and find out who their family is, where they lived, kind of information about their family.
Give me an investigation check, 'cause that might be something you can glean from the crowd right now.
That's a 31.
Can't get a 31. 30 is the biggest number. What are you doing to me?
Fine, 30 then.
You can't know for sure, but there's some murmuring in the crowd. The 3 men are loners. They don't have any family. As far as you can tell, nobody from their family, no loved ones came out to watch the execution. You don't see anybody in the crowd who is friends of the 3 men. Mostly the crowd is just here to enjoy the spectacle. But you get the sense that no, the 3 of them don't have anybody. No friends, no family.
Okay.
Ekon and Edmont. So you guys change your clothes into something more resembling your typical finery?
Yeah.
Ekon, are you presenting yourself as a man of the cloth for this meeting? And you're
Yeah.
okay. You turn a lot of heads walking through the streets, wearing your religious accoutrement. Edmont's, your passive insight's like 107, right?
16.
That's pretty good. You're noticing for the first time, watching the heads turn at your brother specifically, and you realize you've only been in the city for a day, but you've been all over the city. You've walked the streets inside and outside of the walls. You've been up to the university. You've talked to a bunch of people. There are no churches, no cathedrals, no mention of gods, no people engaging in prayer or worship anywhere. And this is why people are giving Ekon the side eye now.
I'll mention that to the brother once. At some point when we have when we have a relatively quiet moment.
Okay.
Yeah, they're using the cathedral as a flop house.
I don't think religion of any stripe is very well respected here.
The manor house is in a bad, sorry shape when you arrive. It's squat and thin, taking up a relatively small footprint in the city. But there's a garden around it. An overgrown, horribly ugly garden, but a garden nonetheless. Rimmed around the very edge with an iron fence. Just enough space in between the manor house and the fence that you know there's resentment amongst the neighborhood of the space is just going to waste. People should be able to build shops there or use it as a thoroughfare. And you don't have to do anything special to announce yourself. As you approach the gate, the front door of this partially dilapidated manor opens and closes. And an old woman with ragged hair who limps forward with a cane makes her way to the gate, looks at you through the bars. Good morrow to you, gentlemen.
Good morrow.
Who all was with us right now?
It's just the 2 of you.
Okay. My name is Ekon. I am a priest serving the local lord in the adjoining province.
And at the mention of being a priest, you see her back straighten a little and some of her facial muscles tighten as she absorbs the information. And as she looks to Edmont and waits for his
I'm
introduction.
his brother, and I'm escorting him around town. My name is Edmont.
And yeah, she introduces herself as Greta, head of household for the Albrecher estate. I have to keep looking up the name because I've got two characters in this session whose name is Rudolph von something. She's head of household for the Baron's estate. And she asks, a little curtly, what business you've brought to the Baron.
We just wish to make an introduction for our noble house. Simply because we'll be in the city, and the Baron seemed to be the most reputable noble we had received word of.
She nods. Very well. And she fishes a
Matter of
rusty
courtesy.
key from out beneath her flower-covered apron. She reaches around your side of the gate and affixes the key into a badly rusted lock. Clicks it open. The gate creaks heavily as she opens it outward. And she motions for you to move up the footpath, which may be 11 inches across with overgrowth peering out either side. You're going to get stickies on your arms and cloaks as you move up this path towards the front door.
Do my best to brush them off as I accumulate.
It's like my dog comes inside, covers in little grass stickies.
We have a few of those around here too, yeah.
She leads you up into this drafty house. Cobwebs, dust cover everything. Just a smell of staleness in the air. Years and years of smog and residue have listed down onto the windows. The room she takes you into is just a small sitting room. Small, but comfortable. There's a meager fire burning away in a essentially an iron furnace in the center of the room. They don't have a traditional hearth. They instead use a gas furnace in the center of the room to heat the largest rooms of the house. The sitting chairs, the cushions, she pats a layer of dust off each one. And you're surrounded by small bookshelves, animal trophies, the kinds of things you might expect to see in a Baron's estate. Just please make yourselves comfortable while I fetch refreshment.
Thank you.
And then leaning on her cane, and she limps off.
Edmont starts looking around for spines, looking for anything in Darkness at least that he might be able to recognize.
Like looking at the spines of books.
Yeah.
Okay. Bear with me just 1 second. There's that bear again before Treble.
I wasn't gonna say it this time.
Yes, you were.
Just trying.
No, I wasn't.
Trying to get a feel for what this man's interests might be.
You don't find a lot of books in Darkness. You do find a couple, but to what degree they're representative of the Baron's interests, you couldn't say. One of the books you have, however, is very antiquated by the standards of the university you visited yesterday. But it's written in Darkness hand, presumably by a Darkness doctor at some point. And it's a book on anatomy, human anatomy.
Brother, I think this might be relevant to your interests.
And flipping through the book, lots of diagrams of body parts and organs and I'll let each of you give me a medicine check.
Fourteen's what I got.
That's 26.
Okay. Edmont, you have some passing familiarity with these sorts of diagrams and things, just because Ekon's your brother, and he's pretty skilled in medicine. Ekon, this is exactly the kind of anatomy textbook you would expect, like a middle-age sort of monk to have transcribed. Lots of details are wrong, and there's a lot of superstition built into it. Clearly, if this is a man of science, this is a curio piece. And the fact that he's acquired it from Darkon tells you something about what men of science in Ludendorff think of the realm you come from. You speak Lamordian, though, so you can read a lot more of these spines.
Yeah.
He has a lot of histories of Lamordia. A lot of these books penned by his own family in the past. You see a lot of von Obreckers as well. One book strikes your eye. Very, very thin. You almost miss it, lost among the stacks. And when you look into it, handwritten in a very spiky and difficult to read hand, but written in Lamordian, it claims to be an account of a diary. And just as you're flipping through the pages, Greta returns. If you please. And she motions for you to place the small, thin book back on the shelf.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And she serves up lukewarm tea and stale crumpets to the two of you and makes some pleasant, polite conversation before bringing it back around to what, now that you've, House Veritas is, have you used your name Veritas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you mentioned that you're here in service of Duchess Evelyn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're keeping with all of the tradition and information and things. Okay. Now that House Veritas has made itself known to the Baron, she hopes, and the Baron hopes as well, that there can be a long and lasting friendship between your two families.
I certainly hope so as well.
Is there a more pointed reason to your visit?
No, just mostly just don't really have anything better to do while I'm waiting for Von Richten.
Waiting for Van Richten. At one point, you hear a very loud clatter from upstairs, like something large was sitting on a teetering table that had just fallen over and clattered to the floor. Greta gives no hint whatsoever that she's noticed it, and continues the conversation.
Right? Yeah, Edmont will point to sit up. Is everything all right?
I beg your pardon?
I just heard a clattering, a noise upstairs, I think.
Oh, it's the old... It's the creaking and settling of the old house. She just completely bypasses the observation. Through conversation, Greta speaks with the Baron's voice. She doesn't just say that she was glad to make your acquaintance. She insists that the Baron was as well. And when you inquire upon, he's feeling poorly today and has decided to stay in bed, and she doesn't expound on any more details than that. And she's happy to sit and converse with you for as long as you like. It doesn't look like she's in any rush to do any housework in particular. But there's definitely something unsettling about the situation.
I'll extend my best wishes for the Baron's health at the very least.
He's very grateful. Thank you. It's very courteous of you. She asks if the Duchess will be paying a call upon the Baron during her visit.
That's part of why we came here. We wanted to see if we'd been. Our impression from the town is that he wasn't generally taking visitors, but we thought it would be worthwhile to find out if he'd want the Duchess to call on him.
Regrettably, until the Baron is feeling a little less poorly, he will not be in a state to take visitors himself. But of course, if the Duchess would like to pay a call, we will do everything we can to make her stay comfortable. Where are you staying in town, if I may ask?
I'll say that the name of the place that we're at. Say it was recommended to us by a traveler.
Oh, that's a dreadful place. You must reconsider. Rooms here at Schloss Albrecher could be made available to the Duchess and her party.
I'll bring it up with my cousin.
And the butler nods, wipes her hands on her dirty apron. Is that the end of the conversation? Is there anything else you want to get out of her, Edmont?
I think that's about it.
Okay. So it's a very pleasant, if slightly off, meeting. And as you leave out the front door, you think you hear another clatter from upstairs. And again, Greta gives no indication whatsoever that she's heard it or is reacting to it. She bids you good day. The door closes. She escorts you back out the iron gate, reaches around with her rusty key, locks it back into place, bows her head slightly, goes back into the house.
Oh, brother, that was quite unsettling. Something that I'm probably going to say more than once before we leave this place.
Beginning to think that Ludendorff is not that good of a place to be.
Definitely not going to vacation here.
Evie and Jeannie going down to the Greta Thorne's lamp factory up here on this side of the river with most of the other factories. Most of the buildings in the city are connected by pipes that pump gas into the buildings to be burned. This factory produces lamps. A lot of glass blowing facilities on site and a lot more decorative and articulate work being done than you saw at the munitions factory because people like lamps that bring the room together, that are nice to look upon. Illumination is the factor, but the decorative elements are the form. And unlike the munitions factory, this is a place that basically you come in, you explain what you want, it is made for you, or they just make things mass production to send out to shops throughout the city, or they're also making and producing lamps that are then installed alongside the streets to be illuminated during the night. This place smells terrible because in addition to the gas being used to power the lamps, whale oil is also used in vast quantities as fuel.
Do they manufacture the whale oil here as well?
No, there's the Hansel Thorne whale oil refinery.
So maybe owned by the same family.
Yeah, the Thorne family. Look how you put that together. And they're right next door to each other, too.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a large whaling
got
industry in Ludendorff. The whales are refined down into oil for fuel, and through some mechanism, the fuel is also transposed into gas to be pumped into the buildings to power stoves like the one they just saw at the Aubrecker Manor. Presenting yourself at the lamp factory, there's a shop proper out in front for the public to look and peruse the various wares. And that's where the public face of the place would be.
What kind of street lamps do they got on sale? Maybe we could take some back to and install them.
I mean, you don't have the infrastructure back in Silverbow to install them. You would have to send somebody around every single night to every individual lamp that you had to refuel it.
Yeah.
Kiska had the Lamplighters Guild, where they used a bunch of low-level sorcerers to run around using cantrips to light up lanterns.
Well, a place like Silverbow wouldn't have more than 5 or 6, probably.
So yeah, perusing the lamps, they run the gamut between like purely functional to decorative, to be put up on poles or hang out from eaves or whatever you need done. Evie wants to know whether the lamp factory are killing their employees and buying up their
I'm going
flesh
to ask them that.
But what are you going to do to try to determine that while you're here?
I guess I'll say I've heard that people sell flesh rights to this location. I've heard that you can get some good rates here.
At the mention of it, let me ask this before we go any further. Jeannie, are you going to stay with Evie throughout the scene, or are you going to slink
Yes.
off? Okay.
No.
Let's
This is-
sneak up and blow this factory up too, huh?
How flammable? Okay, so how
Maybe for the
flammable is
greater
this
good.
factory?
You would imagine there's huge tanks of whale
Yeah.
oil underneath the refinery next door.
Well, is it more or less flammable than the munitions factory? I gotta know.
We're going to set
No,
this
that's
whole
fine.
map on fire before
I would
we're done.
assume more, because lamp oil is designed to burn for a long time.
Yeah. So, no, I'm staying with
Okay.
Evie. Like this is a Evie safety issue.
Evie can take care of herself.
No,
At
you
the
can't.
mention of flesh rights, the bright kind of shopkeeper girl that you first mentioned politely excuses herself. The man who comes back is this small, fat, bald man who's desperately trying to pretend like he's not bald.
Mm-hmm.
He
Best
introduces
come
himself.
over ever.
Yeah, exactly. He introduces himself as Alexander Dorr. He handles the acquisition of flesh rights at the factory. He's an extremely busy person, and he's not happy to see that either of the two of you. And with an insight check, you might be able to figure out why.
Sure. Is a 19 good enough?
19's real good. Someone told him, hey, there's somebody out in the shop who's asking to sell flesh rights. His job is to come down and determine whether that's profitable for the business. Here's the problem. Jeannie and Evie are small, young, thin women. You don't have what he's looking for. He's looking for people with, let's say, a lot of blubber.
Oh God.
There's not a lot of value in scrawny 19-year-olds. Nonetheless, he makes you an offer. 13 gold pieces payable to your next of kin, whoever you specify at the moment of your death upon acquisition of your body.
It is more than they were giving at the university.
The universities, some of them were getting 10 gold pieces per month into perpetuity.
Oh, so this was 13 per year for permanently?
He's saying 13 upfront for each of you.
Okay, that's the whole price?
Yes.
Basically, what it is people are desperate. They're coming here, getting the 13 gold, and they're murdering them and throwing them into the whale oil.
That Okay, I'm going to explain to him. We're asking around town. You know, we're trying to keep our options open. We heard that you gave some good prices here, but we're not sure this is what we're going to do. So we're going to keep looking around. But if we reconsider, we'll let you know.
He thanks you for wasting his time.
Mm-hmm.
So, real quick,
Yeah.
Evie, real quick, Evie.
Uh-huh.
Can you cast just curiosity? Can you cast detect objects specifying lamp oil made from people?
I don't know if that counts as an object.
Soylent lamp.
Has to be an object you're familiar with.
That's a good point. Like, would oil made from?
You're not familiar with that.
Yeah.
You're familiar with lamp oil, but there's lamp oil in this very room.
Yeah.
Gene,
I don't think I can detect that. I think that would technically count as organic material. I don't think detect object would pick that up.
would you like to reconsider your blowing things up policy?
Well, we don't want to make a scene yet, but I would like to get a sample and see if we could analyze it and determine what's going on.
So you want to buy some fuel?
I'll buy
Yeah.
buy a couple of pints of their lamp oil. How
Yeah,
much
maybe see if they have like a nice lamp that's not too costly. I don't know if they have any ready-made or if you have to order them.
They have some on the shelves here that you can purchase.
lamp oil is?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up here in the book. I know it's in here. Trade goods, perhaps? No. Yeah, 10% markup from the book.
Okay.
A flask
One
of oil
silver
is a
piece.
silver piece.
Yeah, I'll just mark that off the party sheet. Just want to get 3 or 4, just so we have them.
And a lantern would be 5 gold pieces.
I could get like a nice fancy one.
Yeah, for 5 gold pieces. And then
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, I'll buy what looks like a fancy lantern.
it's just a handheld lantern that you could place on a hook or on a table. Or it has a little spout on the side where you pour the liquid oil into. And a wick going up the side. I mean, you've seen lanterns.
Yeah, I know what a lantern is.
And Gina, you're buying several flasks of the
I
oil.
already marked it off.
So the oil
Yeah.
is it's ready to burn fuel that has been rendered out from essentially whale blubber.
Yeah.
Or perhaps people blubber. Who knows?
You say essentially, but
Well, I'm hoping that Jeannie can do some mad science on it and she can determine if there's anything funny going on with it.
Mad science in Ludendorff? No.
He needs
This
an
place-
engineer.
Since you gave her that headband and now Evie intelligence went from below average to like almost max, she's starting to show a lot more interest in your kind of work. So when you're like tinkering and stuff, she's looking over your shoulder a lot more than she ever used to. She still calls it mad science though.
So before you guys take your afternoon actions, take a moment to reconvene. What's thoughts from Evie and Jeannie and Victor on relocating to the Aubrecker estate, taking the butler up on her invitation?
Well, we have paid for this place 5 days in advance,
That's true.
and
Evie
this is
said
where,
Evie said she wanted to keep a low profile.
and
But
Now you've announced her presence.
Victor thinks that moving into the estate is a terrible idea, but as soon as he hears that there were random noises and the person was ignoring them, he thinks it's a great idea and they should do it.
I don't want to live in I don't want to sleep in that place. Thank you.
It sounds like the most suspicious thing that we've encountered so far, which, considering what we've encountered so far, is really suspicious.
You have the butler is keeping the Baron hostage. We have to go free him.
We're gonna go up there to the butler's. He said Baron's is locked up in a gimp suit.
Have you ever seen Misery?
Oh, it's such a good movie. Oh my god.